Creative 7570, the ultimate technology for the ultimate creativity. With your Pfaff Creative 7570 and your Fantasy Embroidery Unit, you can create your own very special creative sewing magic. We are here to help you unleash your imagination.
Hi, I'm Philip Pepper and this is Linnette Whicker. We're part of the educational staff with Pfaff. We'd like to welcome you to the exciting world of the incredibly versatile Pfaff Creative 7570 and Fantasy Embroidery Unit.
We'll show you the basics about your Pfaff, then expand into using some of the pre-programmed stitches and mixing them in memory with a multi-directional feed to create new stitches and designs. Doesn't this sound like fun?
We'll share with you embroidery techniques and great sewing tips too. We'll also show you how to make the most of the standard accessory feet that come with your machine. Let's begin with the needles and thread. There are so many more types of thread available to us today than ever before. Always match your needle size to your thread size. This will prevent fraying and breaking. For basic and utility sewing on a medium weight fabric with all-purpose thread, choose a universal size 80 needle. If your thread is fine, go down in size to a number 70 or a very fine number 60. This is a good rule of thumb, but there are exceptions.
Do you see the size of this number 12 Cotty thread? It sews beautifully with the size 100 top stitch needle. Now when I'm sewing on a densely woven silk or one of the washed silks, I use a size 70 jeans needle. This needle has a more acute point and will pierce the fabric weave. Anytime you have a problem with skipped stitches on a woven fabric and you know you're using a new needle, change to a jeans needle in a matching size. Bent, burred, or worn or too small needles are the cause of poor stitch quality and broken or shredded threads. Be sure to change your needle frequently.
And always use a new needle for the buttonholes. Another rule is to always use a new needle for a new project. If I've sewn a lot of embroidery or used a lot of Maxi-Stitches, I go a step farther and put a new needle in the machine to construct the garment. And there are many specialty needles too, like the twin needle we used for these pin tucks and embroidered silk. We'll discuss them as we use them throughout this video and in Volume 2. We'll also be using some specialty threads like these. This is Alcazar, a 100% rayon embroidery thread. There are also polyester embroidery threads that are strong enough to sew seams. Here is a heavy unspun rayon to use in the bobbin. Pfaff carries this fine but very strong nylon monofilament and these beautiful metallics. If a thread is old, dry, and/or brittle, it will cause you trouble. Do yourself a favor and use it to hang ornaments or anything but sewing. Place the thread on the spool pin with the thread coming up from the back side of the spool. Secure it with one of the unreeling discs. Match the size of the unreeling disc to the size of the spool. There is one exception though. When the spool is notched, like this one, always use the large unreeling disc. Also use a size number 90 needle with the cotton-covered polyester thread. Bring the thread from the spool into the groove as shown by the arrow on the white section, down either side of the tension disc, around the guide and up and through the take-up lever. Now down to the guide just above the needle. Either side is okay. And finally, through the needle eye. That needle threader is so quick and easy. Let's take another look at it. The easiest way to bring the thread across to the left and catch it under the hook like this. Now I bring the thread to the right and hold it with my right hand. With my left hand, I lower the needle threader and move it forward into the needle's eye. Catch the thread under the tiny hook and slowly release the needle threader back to its original position. It's just that easy.
There are two ways to wind a bobbin on your Creative. For either method, you first need to place a bobbin on the bobbin winder. Now you can take the thread directly from the spool into the silver guide and down, under, and around the tension disc, then onto the bobbin. Wind the thread a few times clockwise around the bobbin. push the bobbin to the right to engage the winding mechanism. Make sure you disengage the hand wheel by holding the large outer wheel and turning the small inner wheel counterclockwise. Now, just press the foot control. The bobbin will automatically wind and stop when it's full. Push the bobbin to the left. Clip the thread and you're set. Be certain to re-engage the hand wheel. Just reverse the procedure. Hold the large outer wheel and turn the small inner wheel clockwise. A good habit to learn now is to turn the hand wheel counterclockwise or towards you until you hear the sewing mechanism engage. You'll hear a definite click. The second way is to use the second spool pin and wind while you're sewing. Take the thread from the spool in the path and over to the bobbin.
Filling a bobbin while you sew means you always have another one handy. No wasted time.
To insert the bobbin, hold it so the thread winds clockwise like this. Now insert the bobbin into the case. When you pull on the thread, the bobbin should turn clockwise. Do you see? Now insert the bobbin case straight onto the pin until you hear it click into place. Sometimes you will not hear a click if you have placed it at the precise angle. Check the case. If you can see or feel the center post, it's perfect.
Now just take one stitch to bring the bobbin thread up.
An easy way to do this is to select Program 00, engage the single pattern key, lower the presser foot, and tap the foot control. The machine will automatically take one stitch and stop.
Before we go any further, we'll explain all the keys and their functions. I'm going to start with the keys over the needle. Above and to the right of the needle is a blue square with two lights in it. The bottom green light works with the reverse key. The reverse is the large blue key to the right of the needle. It has two functions. When you press the key, the light comes on. The machine will sew constantly in reverse until you press the key again. The light then goes out. If you touch and hold the key while sewing, the machine will sew in reverse only as long as you hold the key down. The light will not be lit. The second function is to determine and memorize the length of darning programs number 28 and number 29. The red light at the top is the bobbin monitor. It will flash when you're running low on thread. The thread weight will determine the yardage remaining. For example, the light flashes when there is about 3 yards of all-purpose thread remaining. A little less thread remains when you're using a heavier thread, like buttonhole twist. A little more thread remains when you're using a lightweight machine embroidery thread. When using the Fantasy embroidery unit, the Pfaff will stop automatically for you to make a bobbin change. The first pink key on the left is the twin needle key. Its symbol is 2 needles. When this key is engaged, it reduces the stitch width by 2 millimeters. This change in the width does not show in the stitch width display. Here too, a light reminds you that you have the key engaged. The next key is the Sew Slow key. Its symbol is a triangle dividing a circle. When you press this key, the light is lit and the machine sews at half speed. Press again to return to full speed ahead. The light goes out. The machine always sews Maxi-Monograms, Maxi-Stitches, and buttonholes at half speed, so engaging the keys will have no effect on the speed when sewing these stitches. The third key is the needle up, needle down key. Now every time you stop, the needle will remain in the fabric. To raise the needle out of the fabric, just press it again. The light goes out and the needle raises out of the fabric to its highest position. The last key is the tie-off key. The tie-off function of this key can be used with utility and decorative sewing. Press the key before you start to sew, the light is lit. The machine automatically takes several stitches to knot and then sews the selected stitch program. If you press the key while you are sewing, the machine finishes the stitch program, ties off, and stops. This is great when you want to secure the ends of seams or tie off at the end of a row of decorative stitching.
The keys on the right of the machine are your control center. At the top of the control center is an LCD display screen that reflects the function of each key as you engage it. The keys allow you to select stitches, change them, put them in memory, sew one, mirror image it, and more. The control center even suggests presser feet, tension, and other valuable information. When you turn the machine on, the display shows the first screen of the utility stitch menu. The menu consists of icons of all the built-in stitches. An icon is just another word for a picture or symbol. The stitches are grouped into categories. All the categories, with all the stitches they contain, are shown on the lid of the machine for easy reference. Before I explain all the keys and their functions, I'm going to show you the 3 ways to select stitch programs. The first way is to use the blue cursor keys to the right of the display screen. The top 2 with the arrows are the cursor keys. They are used for advancing to the next menu screen or returning to the previous menu screen. It's just like turning pages in a book. Press the arrow right cursor key to turn to the next page. Press again and again. Press the arrow left cursor key to go to the previous page, and again until you are at the screen you want. These keys are also used for adjusting the reverse balance of a stitch, and I'll explain about balance a little later on. The bottom blue key is the escape key. It will return to the previous screen. The previous screen will not necessarily be a menu screen. The escape key also lets you abort a function or a command. Using the cursor keys, move through the menu until you are at the screen with the stitch you want to sew.
Below the display is a row of 10 white keys. These are the numbered keys. They are labeled from 1 to 0. The only time the numbers are used is when you are selecting a stitch program by its number designation and selecting buttonhole sizes. All other times, they are referred to as the key below a specific icon in the screen. For example, if I wanted to select the blind hem, program number 4, I need to press the key below the icon of the blind hem stitch. It happens to be numbered key number 5. Notice that the blind hem icon is now highlighted in black. I can sew a blind hem now using the default settings of the machine. Default settings are the program optimum length, width, and density settings of a stitch. These, of course, can be changed.
To change the default settings, press the key below the pattern icon again. The screen changes to the programming screen. It is at this screen that you can change the default settings. The second way to select a program is by categories or groups. To see the group menu, press the gray key labeled 09. Then press the green Info key. The list of group choices is shown on the screen. Press the corresponding number key for the group. Let's choose Borders, number 8. Now you can use the cursor keys to scroll through the border group and select the stitch. These are beautiful stitches, aren't they? The third way to select a program is by number. Press the 09 key. Enter the number using the numbered keys. I want the blind hem stitch again, so I'll enter 4. Now press the green OK key. The stitch immediately comes up at the programming screen. At the top of the programming screen is a continuous picture of the stitch. To the right is the program number 4. At the bottom left is a highlighted length icon with the current length setting 2.5 next to it. Below this is a bar with the length option boxes. It's here on the bar where you can change the length. The highlighted setting is the default. In this case, it's 2.5 millimeters.
The highlight in the bar does not change as you change the length. Only the number next to the length icon changes. Here. Press the key below the box labeled 1.5. The length is decreased to 1.5 millimeters. Press the key below the box labeled 4.0. The length is increased to 4 millimeters. The length in the boxes are just some of the more common or useful settings. If you want something in between these settings, you can use the keys below the greater than and less than icons. They are the arrows located on either side of the bar. Press the key below the less than icon and you can reduce the length by half millimeter increments. Do you see the change? Press the key below the greater than icon and increase the length by half millimeters. Watch.
We have been changing the stitch length, but in some cases the length bar will refer to the pattern length. Let's pause for a minute to discuss the difference between stitch length and pattern length. Stitch length is the distance between two stitches. A straight stitch with a 3 millimeter length would have 3 millimeters between each stitch. The same holds true for the next example, a zigzag stitch with 3 millimeters between each zig and zag. The next is an example of pattern length with program number 126, a fern. Notice the different sizes of ferns. Pattern length refers to the overall length of one single pattern and not the distance between individual stitches within that pattern. This fern is size 45. The middle fern is size 25 and the last fern is size 16. Let's look at the screen. Press the 09 key and enter program 126. Press OK. Press the key below the box labeled 45. The picture in the display changes to match the length you selected. Note that the picture on the screen is not actual size. It is a little larger. Look at the number next to the length icon. It shows 45. Now press the key below the box marked 25. Now press the key below the lesser than icon. It's on the extreme left. Keep pressing the key until the pattern length is 16. See how short the pattern is?
Let's recap a moment. The length bar changes either the stitch length or pattern length. By looking at the length numbers available and the picture of the stitch, you can tell if you're changing stitch length or pattern length.
At the lower right of the screen is the width bar. It is set up and works the same as the length bar. This stitch is 9 millimeters wide. Press the key below the box labeled 6.0. The actual sewing width and the picture of the stitch are reduced. You can increase the width by half millimeter increments by using the key below the greater than icon. At the right of the screen is the balance icon. You use the blue cursor keys to adjust the balance of a stitch pattern. When you adjust the balance of a pattern, you're lengthening or shortening only the reverse stitches. The arrow right cursor key lengthens the reverse stitches, thereby shortening the overall pattern length. As you press the arrow right cursor key, the plus number increases and the icon darkens at the top. The arrow left cursor key shortens the reverse stitches, thereby lengthening the pattern. As you press the cursor key, the numbers decrease until you get into the minus range. The icon also changes and gets dark at the bottom. Notice that the picture of the stitch does not reflect any balance changes. Let's look at an example using program number 83. The first row on the top is sewn without any changes. It's the way the stitch was designed to sew. The center row has had the balance changed to -7. The minus number shortened the reverse stitches. See how much longer and open the pattern is? The bottom row has had the balance changed to +7. The plus number lengthened the reverse stitches. The pattern is much smaller with close stitching. You can use the balance key to correct the stitching of programs or change the look completely. So now you know two uses for the blue cursor keys, scrolling through the menus and controlling the balance of a stitch program. The cursor keys are also used to change the density of a stitch program. Density refers to the amount and distance apart of stitches in a satin stitch program. It's what gives an embroidery stitch its smooth, satiny look. As an example, let's select program number 164, the heart. At the right of the screen is the density icon. It's set at 0.35 millimeters, but it can be changed. Press the arrow left cursor key to increase the density. The picture of the heart reflects the change. The heart gets darker because the machine added extra stitches to fill in the heart shape. The darker the stitch, the denser or closer together the stitching will be.
Let me suggest you do yourself a favor and always sew a test sample first.
That's for sure. Now, press the arrow right cursor key to decrease the density of a stitch. Change the pattern length by pressing the key below the box labeled 14. Notice that the pattern length changed, but the density stayed the same.
Remember, depending on which icon is on the screen, the cursor keys will change the balance or the density of a stitch.
Now, let's go to the colorful semicircle of keys. Some of the keys we have already used, so this will be a recap. The large green key in the center is the OK key. It's used to tell the computer to execute a command. Sometimes the computer will ask you a question. Press the OK key to answer the question with a yes. Starting at the right of the inside semicircle, the first gray key is the 09 key. This is used to select stitch programs numerically. Press the key, enter the program number using the numbered keys, and press OK. The next key is the blue card key. It accesses the creative cards for sewing. We'll save this treat of cards for later. The next blue key is the MP key for accessing the machine and personal design memories. You'll learn more about the many uses of the MP key later in this video. The next blue key is the star key. It accesses the directional stitches that are fantastic to use in stitch combinations. The next blue key is the A to Z key. It accesses all the alphabets. The last blue key is the menu key. It brings you to the first screen in the menu, the utility stitches and automatic straight stitch.
Now let's talk about the gray key on the right, the clear key. It clears wrong numbers when you're selecting a stitch program numerically. You can also use it as a quick way to erase all the P and M memories. To do this, hold the clear key down while turning on the machine. But remember, it erases all memories. Before I continue, let's bring up program number 180 on the screen. Press the 09 key and enter 180 and press the OK key. There. It will be easier to understand the function of the keys when you can see the changes on the screen. The first pink key is the pattern start key. Notice the symbol. It's a triangle with a line on the top. Touch this key and the machine will go back to the beginning of the stitch. You can even hear and see the needle moving in the beginning position. In programmable stitches, like the darning and buttonhole programs, this key will clear the memory of the memorized size. The next key is the single pattern key. Notice the symbol. It's a triangle with two lines, one pointing to the start and one to the end of a pattern. When you engage this key, the light is lit and the machine will tie on, sew one stitch program, tie off and stop automatically, one P memory or one M memory sequence. At the end, it always ties off and stops. The key remains engaged and the light lit until you touch it again to disengage it. The next key is the mirror image key. Notice the symbols on the key. At the top is a needle position icon. It looks like an oval with a dot in the middle. The oval represents the needle opening in the foot, and the dot represents the needle in center position. This icon shows the orientation of the needle and the foot to the direction the stitch will actually sew. This needle position icon is important to understand since it is used often in the information, sewing, and programming screens. Below the icon is the same shaded triangle, but with a mirror image that is not shaded. It shows that in the sewing position, the stitch will be flipped left to right. See the direction the stitch flipped in the screen. When this key is engaged, the light is lit. Press the key again to turn off the mirror image function. The next key is the axial mirror key. At the top is the needle position icon again. Below the icon is a shaded triangle pointing to the needle position and an unshaded mirror image triangle. It shows that in the sewing position, the stitch will be flipped back to front or axial mirrored. You can see the direction the stitch flipped, with the first stitch becoming the last and the last becoming the first. Very useful in designing sequences. It also has a light that remains lit until you press the key again. The remaining green key is the info key. Just like its name implies, it gives you information and help when you need it. When you have a stitch program selected, it shows sewing information. The first box on the left indicates the start with an A and the end of the stitch with E. The next box happens to be empty for this stitch. So let's select another example, an heirloom stitch. First, press Escape. Then press 09, enter 119 and press OK, and press Info again. The box advises to use a wing needle for better results. There is different information for buttonholes, cross stitches, and maxi-stitches. The next box suggests a foot to use and shows an icon of the foot. Above the foot icon is the feed dog icon. When there are two sets of feed dogs, it means to engage the dual feed. Here it shows one set of feed dogs and the 2A foot. The next box has the needle position icon at the top. It shows which mirror image keys will work with this stitch. Only the left to right mirror function is available. The last box suggests where to set the upper thread tension. The suggestion here is plus or minus 3, the embroidery range. To return to the sewing program screen, please press the Escape key.
Remember, the Escape key takes you back one screen.
We've explained all the keys. Now we'd like to show you how to program your creative for a different language. Turn your machine off. Press and hold the number 1 key while turning the machine on. You are presented with a menu with 4 languages. Just press the number key for the language of your choice. We'll stick with English, so we'll press the number 0 key. It remembers your choice and always turns on in your language preference until you change it. Your Creative 7570 allows you to enter a 4-digit code to prevent unauthorized use of your machine. This is handy if you have small children around, as you know how curious they can be. To enter a code, first turn off your machine. Touch and hold the info key while you turn on the machine. The computer asks you to enter a code and shows 4 stars. The code can only be numerical. Use the numbered keys to enter. Enter 7570. If you make a mistake, use the clear key to delete the number and re-enter. When the code is correct, press the OK key. Now let's see how the code works. Turn the machine off and back on. Enter the code using the numbered keys. As you enter a correct number, the star changes to a cross. 7, 5, 7, and 0. When they're all correct, you will be presented with 3 options. Press OK to keep the current code and start your sewing. press Escape to delete the code completely. Press Info if you want to change the code. We'll press Escape to delete the code.
It's a good idea to write down your code or use something easy to remember. I forgot my code once and was in a panic. I did solve it though. I took the batteries out of the machine for about 2 hours. The machine forgot the code, but it also forgot all of my memories too. I had to start from scratch.
Also, the machine cannot be serviced without the technician sewing on it. So when you have your machine serviced, either delete the code or give it to the service person. This way, you won't lose any of your P memories or M memories.
Let's talk about dual feed and utility stitches. Philip, when do you use dual feed?
Well, Lynette, I use it most of the time. The few exceptions would be when I'm embroidering with the built-in stitches or doing some free motion work. For all construction and utility sewing, the dual feed keeps those stripes matched and quilt blocks perfectly lined up. If you've never had a PFAFF with dual feed before, this is what we're talking about. It's this elbow just behind the presser foot. To engage dual feed, press down on the elbow like this. To disengage, grasp the dual feed with 2 fingers, pull down, then to the back and up. It's so easy. Engage, disengage.
Dual feed is great when you sew slippery fabrics, like this silky. It eliminates puckers without fussing with the tension. Set the machine for program 00 by pressing Menu, and then the key below the straight stitch. First we'll sew without dual feed. Now, we'll engage dual feed and not change any other settings. See? A perfect seam. Dual feed makes it so easy to sew over very thick seams. We'll make a mock flat felled seam in this denim. Now, fold it in thirds and sew down the middle. Do you see how the dual feed climbed right over that thick seam? Super, isn't it? We use the dual feed especially when sewing in a zipper. Snap off the presser foot by pushing down on the toes. The zipper foot has 3 projections at the back. These spaces accommodate the dual feed and must go to the back. The zipper foot can be attached either to the left or to the right. Place the zipper foot under the sewing foot holder and lower the presser bar until you hear the foot snap in place. Make sure the projections face the back and the number on the foot can easily be read from the front. Do you see the needle position? It's much too far away from the edge of the foot, isn't it? The solution is to move the needle. Program 00 is a straight stitch with 19 needle positions. Look at the lower right side of the screen. Instead of a width bar, there is a needle position bar. You have a choice of left, right, or center needle position. You can also use the greater than and lesser than keys to move the needle by 1/2 millimeter increments. See? This way, you can move the needle right up to the edge of the foot and as close to the zipper teeth as you want to be. Program 10, a reverse straight stitch, has the same needle position bar, so it can be moved the same way. Press the 09 key, enter 1, 0, and press OK. Here's the needle position bar on the right of the screen. Move the needle left, right, center. On the lid, program 01, a stretch, triple straight stitch, and 11, a saddle stitch, have an arrow that points both left and right. When these stitches are selected, the needle will be in the center position and can be moved either left or right using the options in the needle position bar. Let's select Program 1. We'll change the foot back to 0A. Pressing the key below the greater than arrow moves the needle to the right. As you press the key, watch the needle move across to the right. These programs with multiple needle positions give you the versatility to sew accurate quarter-inch seams for piecing quilt tops or evenly spaced decorative top stitching. We'll use Program 1 with the left needle position and top stitch a second row on this sample. See the evenly spaced rows? Because of the triple stitching, this stitch will not only give your top stitching a heavier look, but it will stretch and not snap when sewn on knits. Before we leave straight stitching, let us show you how to use the number 7 foot, a flat hemmer that came with your machine. This foot needs to have the needle in the center position. See this scroll on the front of the foot? It rolls the fabric up and around to form the hem. The hem is then sewn in place with a straight stitch. Select Program 00, center needle position, and snap on the foot. The easiest way to get the fabric into the scroll is to first fold the hem, like this. Then engage needle down. Sew until you see the fabric at the back of the presser foot. Raise the presser foot and then with your right hand pick up the fabric. Guide the fabric into the scroll. When the fabric is in the scroll, lower the presser foot. Guide the raw edge of your fabric with your right hand and keep the index finger of your left at the spot where the fabric rolls, like this. It takes a little practice, but it's well worth the effort.
There are 2 other sizes available for your creative. This one is a 2mm hemmer. It's just like the 3mm hemmer that came with our machine. They're both used for fine, lightweight fabrics like batiste and organdy. This is a 4mm hemmer, and it has a cutout so that you can use your dual feed. This one works well with fine fabrics and also for your fabrics that are a little bit heavier, like broadcloth and Oxford shirting. The 4mm hemmer with dual feed will hem a slightly curved shirt tail also. All of the hemmer feet work best on the straight grain of the fabric for smooth and even hems. Speaking of smooth and even, your creative has several types of zigzags, each with its own special use. The most common utility stitches are all grouped together on the stitch chart. They're located here in the menu group at the left of the lid.
Program 2 is the basic zigzag, but this sample was appliqued with Program 16, what we like to call a Zorro Stitch.
Let us show you why it has that name. The example on the left has a stitch length of 2mm. When the needle zigs to the right, it makes a perfectly horizontal stitch. When it zags back to the left, it's on an angle. The stitch formation looks like the letter Z. When you shorten the stitch length to 0.6mm, you get a very even satin stitch, like the one in the middle. The satin stitch on the right was sewn with Program number 2, our basic zigzag. The stitch length had to be shortened much more than the Zorro did, down to 0.3mm. The light reflection off the horizontal Zorro stitches are the most beautiful. Wouldn't you agree?
In addition to these 2 zigzag programs, there is a third one, Program 32. The big difference between the first two zigzags and program 32 is the way it tapers. Zigzag program 2 is a centered stitch. By this I mean that when you reduce the width, it will evenly narrow down to the center. When you increase the width, it will evenly increase from the center outward. Program 32 is a zigzag that stays constant on either the left or right.
Seeing is believing, isn't it?
Let's select program 32. Press the 09 key, enter 32 and press OK. Notice that the needle is in the extreme right position. Watch what happens when you engage the mirror image key. The needle jumps from the right to the left side. Let's sew a bit so you can see how it looks on fabric. Now, disengage the mirror image key and sew with the needle on the right. You can see the difference between the two sets of stitches, can't you? This stitch can also be tapered while you're sewing. It makes beautiful tapered corners. There are several other utility stitches that come under the heading of zigzag stitches. Program 3 is a triple step zigzag and program 15 is a double step zigzag. This means that the zigs and zags are sewn with 2 or 3 stitches. Both of these stitches have a lot of elasticity, so they're great when you're sewing knits or attaching elastic.
Let's attach this elastic to the fabric for you to see. Select program number 3 and change the stitch length to 2.0. Make sure the dual feed is engaged. First, take a few stitches into the fabric and elastic to secure them. You will want to hold on to the thread in the back until the fabric is well under the foot. Now stretch the elastic in the front as you are attaching it to the fabric. Because we used dual feed, we didn't have to hold the fabric and elastic tight from the back. The elastic really does look great, doesn't it? The dual feed did the work. The last 2 utility zigzag stitches are programs number 20, a slanted zigzag, and 21, a triple slanted zigzag. These can be used to sew seams in fabrics that contain a lot of lycra or spandex, and also used to embroider. They make great stems for flowers, as you can see here. This is an embroidery using some built-in stitches and the fringe foot. It has a real rich look. We'll show you how to use the fringe foot later.
But now, back to the basics. How about showing some blind hemming, Philip?
Okie dokie, Linnette. This little dress was hemmed by machine, but it's really hard to tell.
Looks good. Hemming by machine is quick and easy when you use the blind hem foot number 3. This adjustable red guide is the key to an invisible hem. There are 2 additional things you need to know in order to sew a perfect blind hem. First is to check the bite of the needle into the fold. Second is the way you hold the fabric. Pin up the hem with the pins on the inside of the garment. The pin should be very close to the fold and parallel to it, like this. Now, fold the hem with the fabric under. Make sure you have about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of the hem exposed. See this fold? That is where the needle will take its bite. Place the fabric under the presser foot with the fold against the red guide on the foot. To check the bite, use the hand wheel to lower the needle into the fold. If the needle bite is too far into the fabric, turn the thumb screw counterclockwise, which will move the red guide to the right. Use the pattern start key. Check the bite again. This program was designed with the bite as the first stitch. So, after you've adjusted the guide and you want to test the bite again, just touch pattern start, and the needle is set to take the bite again. We'll sew a hem in this sample for you. When you have adjusted it perfectly, the needle will bite into the fold and make a stitch across only one thread of the fabric. This is the ideal setting. This takes a little practice to master. Nice, isn't it? Let us show you another method. It resembles a hand-stitched hem and is a little easier to sew. Prepare your hem the same way as before, but when you turn the hem under, only expose about 1/16 of an inch, like this. Adjust the red guide all the way over to the left, so it is exactly even with the needle on the bite stitch. Notice that there isn't any of the hem extending under the metal pin. You will be sewing on air. Don't worry, your creative can do this. Watch. Doesn't it look hand sewn? I really like that hand look whipped hem, Philip. That's a neat technique. Look at all the different knits we have here. They're so comfortable to wear and so easy to sew, even if you're not lucky enough to own a hobby lock serger. Your creative has several different overlock stitches, so you can choose the one that's perfect for the type of knit you're sewing. They also sew great seams on woven fabrics.
That's right. We'll show you how easily you can sew ribbing into a t-shirt neckline. First, cut your ribbing according to the pattern piece or the measurements given on the instruction sheet. You can leave the seam allowances the normal 5/8 and trim them after sewing. We prefer to cut out with only 1/4 inch seam allowances to save trimming later. Here is a piece of rib that has already been seamed together. Now, quarter the band and place a pin at each quarter fold, like this. The front and back have already been quartered and pinned. Notice that the shoulder seams are not at the quarter marks. Now match the sets of pins and pin the ribbing to the neckline. The seam on the ribbing can be at the center back or at the right shoulder. Select program number 38 and snap on the blind hem foot. The metal pin on this foot will keep the seam from tunneling. As you sew, guide the raw edge against that pin, but not under it, and stretch the ribbing to match the neckline. This stitch sews a stretchable seam and overcast it at the same time. It looks very neat from the inside, and look how smooth it is on the right side. Any of programs 30 through 39 plus programs 6 and 19 will sew a stretchable seam and overcast at the same time.
That blind hem foot is very versatile. Now we're going to use a specialized foot and attachment for a very important sewing job, buttonholes. This is the buttonhole foot number 5A.
And this is the buttonhole guide. It's really a sensor ruler. When it is inserted properly, it activates the buttonhole sensor. The sensor tells the machine when the second bead of the buttonhole is the same length as the first bead. Then the machine sews the second bar tack and ties off. This handy guide will allow you to use the buttonhole foot or foot 1A with the dual feet engaged.
Right, Philip. 5A is a sliding foot with two little hooks, front and back, where you can attach cording. Cording is optional. Take a piece of cording about 7 to 8 inches long and fold it in half. Hook the fold around the center hook at the back of the foot. Bring the cording tails under the foot and hook into the front clips. Make sure they're snug and securely fastened to the foot. See how the hooks hold the cording? It's best to use cording to match your thread. Sometimes the right color is not available. Here's a technique that assures a perfect match. Make sure you have the dual feed engaged. This is very important. Select program number 2. Change the width to 4 millimeters and leave the length at 2. Pull out both a needle and bobbin thread to a length of about 12 inches. With your other hand, grasp the 2 threads near the needle and pull again to match the first length. Still holding the first threads, pull another length. Now you have 6 strands of thread between your fingers. The 6 strands now go under the presser foot. Hold onto the back of the threads and let the zigzag stitch bundle the strands together. The dual feed will feed the cording evenly from under the presser foot. Keep your finger on the loose threads in front of the presser foot to guide them. A perfectly matched piece of cording, and inexpensive too. If you need a heavier cord, just use more filler thread. Now snap off the standard foot and disengage the dual feed. Insert the sensor ruler from the back of the machine. The silver part goes under the needle plate and the beige part goes on top of the feed dogs. Do not push the sensor tight against the machine. Leave about a 1/4 inch space between the sensor and the machine. Snap on the buttonhole foot. Match the arrow to the second red mark. Don't pull it all the way forward. Select the buttonhole group. Press the 09 key, then press the info key. Now press the key number 2 for the buttonhole group. The first one, Program 40, is the standard bar tack buttonhole and the most popular. This next screen lets you choose either a pre-programmed size or you can make your own size. It even tells you what to do right on the screen. If additional help is needed, press the info key. See? Let's escape back to the buttonhole screen. We want to make an 18 millimeter length buttonhole. So we'll enter 18 and press OK. All of the pre-programmed buttonhole styles work the same way. The numbers next to the buttonhole icon represent the length. The black highlighted number is the program. You can change the width of the buttonhole by pressing the numbered keys below the width icons. Let's leave it at the default setting. Since this is a pre-programmed style, the only thing you have to do is press the foot control. The machine will sew the buttonhole, tie off, and stop. It's as easy as that. Carefully remove the cording from the foot. Then pull on the cording ends to get rid of the loop. We're going to pull them a little tighter until the buttonhole starts to curve a little. Now, clip the ends and flatten out the buttonhole. With this method, the cut ends of the cord will slip back under the bar tack and won't show at all. Isn't this neat? Next, let's program in your own buttonhole size. Press the Escape key to return to the previous screen. On the bottom of the screen it says, if you press OK without a length entry, you can program the length as you sew. To erase the size 18 entered before, you can just press the Clear key twice. The Clear key works like a delete or backspace key on a computer. Now press OK. Notice that the length numbers have been replaced by the abbreviated word PROG. The width icons are still there, and to the right of them is the density icon. The programmable style gives you the option of changing the density of the buttonhole beads. We'll make it a little denser by decreasing the number to 0.4 millimeters. Place your fabric under the foot and readjust the guide and foot. Remember the second red mark and 1/4 inch space. The info key suggests to set the tension at about 3 for a really pretty satin look buttonhole. When you depress the foot control, the machine sews the right bead of the buttonhole towards you. When you reach the length you want, touch the reverse above the needle. The reverse light will not go on. The machine made the first bar tack. Then it sews the second bead in reverse. It will automatically sense the length of the first bead, and when it's even with the first bead, the machine makes the second bar tack and tie off. After programming the length, the word PROG next to the buttonhole icon changed to auto, indicating that the buttonhole is now in memory, and you can make as many as you like. If the size isn't quite right, just press the pattern start key to clear the memory and start again.
Remember, the machine automatically makes the second bar tack only when you are using the sensor ruler. If you don't want to use the sensor ruler, you will need to tell the machine where to put the second bar tack by pressing the reverse key when the two beads are even. It will then bar tack, tie off, and stop. You can also cancel the second bar tack on any buttonhole, whether it's pre-programmed or your own custom size. We'll use a keyhole buttonhole program to demonstrate.
Press Escape twice to go back to the buttonhole style screen. Press the key below the keyhole style. The length is entered at 22 millimeters. We'll change it to 25. Press Clear to delete the 2 and enter 5. Press OK. To the right of the width icon is the manual icon. Press the key below the manual icon to cancel the last bar tack. In the middle of the screen is a note telling you that you have to finish the buttonhole manually. The machine will sew the right bead, then the first bar tack, or in this case, the keyhole part. It sews the left bead and then it slows down. The slowing down is so you can determine where to place the bar tack. Press the reverse key and it bar tacks and ties off. The manual command stays selected until you press the key to turn the function off, or until you escape from the buttonhole program. This is so very useful when the garment has thick seam allowances.
Heirloom sewing is so popular, and this vest is a wonderful collection of memorabilia. Let's go to the machine and have Linnette show you how to sew on buttons. Select program number 9. Press the 09 key, enter 9, and then press OK. The screen prompts us to lower the feed dog. The pre-selected width is 4 millimeters. This is the common distance between the two holes in any button. If your button is of an unusual size, you will need to check the needle swing manually. Do you see that the light above the single pattern key is lit? This means that the machine will automatically sew one complete program. First, it ties off in the left hole of the button, zigzags across the two holes, then ties off in the right side and stops, ready for the next button. You can use foot 2A or no foot at all like we're doing. It's just that easy.
Buttons are not only beautiful, but functional and decorative. Your Pfaff also has 5 alphabets that you can use to be decorative and functional. Here we have signed the back of this quilted pillow. Let's show you how to do this.
Press the A to Z key and the alphabet styles are shown. You could select a style now and just sew it, but it's easier to put the words directly into an M memory than it is to sew each individual letter. Select an empty M memory by pressing the MP key and then press key 2. The screen changes to display the M memory directory. The 2 dashes next to the memory mean the memory is empty. If a memory is occupied, it will display the total number of stitches in the sequence next to the memory. If the memory uses a card, it will have a dot next to the number. To select an empty M memory, use the key below the plus or minus icon. These keys move the cursor and highlight each memory in turn. When you reach an empty memory, just press OK. Pressing OK opens the memory. Just highlighting it does not open it. We're ready to enter any combination we wish. The next thing you do is to tell the machine which program you want to enter. You do this by touching either the 09 key for a stitch program, the MP key for an original design, the star key for directional stitches, or the A to Z key for alphabets. Since you want to write something, you need to press the A to Z key. You want to use the block outline letters to enter creative, so press the key below the block style icon. This is the alphabet screen. It looks the same for all the alphabet styles. It has a lot of information on it. The blank box on the top is the text box. The text box is where the letters you choose will be displayed. Below the box are the letters and numbers. You use the keys below each group to move the cursor and highlight the letter you want, like this. On the right at the top is a note reminding you which M memory you opened. In this case, it's M0. Below that is the current width setting. To change the width, press the key below the width icon. The screen changes. Press the key below the icon for the size you want. The block outline alphabet defaults to a 9mm width. Press OK. Remember to change the size of an alphabet before you select a letter. Changing it after selecting a letter will have no effect on the size. Let's program the word creative. The C is in the first column, so you need to use the key below. Follow the arrow down to the key. Pressing the key moves the cursor through that group. Press until the C is highlighted. Press OK to enter. It's now displayed in the text box, and the cursor has moved to the right. Now enter an R and press OK. E, press OK. A, press OK. T, press OK. I, press OK. V, press OK, and E, and press OK. Now press the MP key to save the sequence to the M memory. You can tell by the screen that we're still in the programming mode. At the bottom of the screen are icons. Starting at the left are the home and end icons. The home icon is an arrow pointing to the left, and it will move the cursor to the beginning of the sequence. The cursor is the vertical line of dashes. Do you see the cursor move? The end icon points to the right and will move the cursor to the end of the sequence. It's a quick way to move around in the sequence. You can also move the cursor with the blue cursor keys. We'll press the arrow right cursor key and move the cursor between the A and the T. The next symbol, M-, indicates that the following two icons will erase or delete something in the sequence. The line with the dots and arrow pointing between them will delete the stitch program after the cursor position. But if the cursor is at the end, it will delete the last stitch program in the sequence. The next icon is an empty box. Pressing the key below this icon will delete the entire sequence. The next icon has a question mark inside a box. Pressing the key below it will give you an information screen. Let me quickly explain the information screen to you. At the left of the box is the icon for needle position. Remember, it is the same icon on the mirror keys. It shows the position of the needle and foot when sewing the sequence. The line running the length of the box represents the sequence. In the center, above and below the line, are dashes. These dashes represent the cursor. Above the line, on either side of the cursor, are numbers. These numbers show the current cursor position. Right now, the cursor is between the 4th and 5th stitch in the sequence. Just below the numbers are more dashes. The dashes on either side of the cursor represent alphabet stitch programs. If we had used numerical programs, those numbers would be shown here. Do you see the number on the right? It tells you the total number of stitch programs in the sequence. When you use other stitch programs, such as a Maxi-Stitch, you will get additional information. You'll see an example of this when we use the directional stitches later. You press Escape to return to the previous screen. The last icon is the sewing machine. Press the key below it and you exit the programming mode and are ready to sew. We only want to sew it once, so press the single pattern key. That really looks great. Let's program in With Love next. This time, we'll use upper and lower case script letters. First, open an M memory. Press Escape, choose the memory, and press OK. Now, press the A to Z key and select the script alphabet, the one on the left. First, you highlight a W and press OK. The W is in the uppercase alphabet. To switch to lowercase, use the key below the large A dash small a icon at the lower right of the screen. Now you see all the letter icons have switched to lowercase. Now, select and enter the I. And press OK. T. Press OK. H. Press OK. We need to put a space next. The spaces are located at the beginning of the last column, here. Highlight the space and press OK. Now enter an L. Press OK. O. Press OK. V. Press OK. And E. Press OK. Let's add an exclamation mark. The punctuation marks are found on the lowercase screen in the last column at the right. Here it is. Highlight and OK. Let's exit and sew it out. Press the MP key. Now press the key below the sewing machine icon. Be sure to remember the single pattern key or you'll have a run-on sentence. And we're ready. All the connecting threads need to be clipped for a neater look. Except for the lowercase alphabet, I always clip connecting threads on all the alphabets.
like the way the letters look when they're all separate. It also makes for easier reading. You could hide the connecting stitches by adding decorative stitches between your letters. It can give you more of a tapestry look.
Let's add decorative stitches to our word creative. Select the M0. But while we are here, we have some more choices to explain. Do you see the icon with the arrow over the word card? That will allow you to store your pattern sequences to a creative card. The creative card will double the memory space of your machine. That is another 256K of memory. The next icon is for the density, as you recall, and the K icon is for balance. Press the key beneath EDT and you are back into the memory program. We'll move the cursor to the front of the design with the home key where we want to add flowers. Press the 09 key and enter 184 with the number keys. Now press OK and press OK again to store. Oops, those flowers are going the wrong direction, aren't they? Press key 1 to move cursor to front. Press key 4 to delete. Press escape. This time, press the axial mirror key, then OK. That's better, isn't it? Now press 2 for end icon. Press escape. This time, the flowers will be facing the correct direction. Press OK. Let's sew them out. Press the key beneath the icon of the sewing machine. Press single pattern key and let's sew them. If you get too speedy and press the foot control before pressing the icon, a message will appear asking if you want to exit programming. You have two choices. Escape will allow you to continue programming, or OK that will send you to the sewing screen automatically. I've already programmed my initials into an M memory. This time I've selected a dot or a period to be sewn between each letter instead of a space. I've marked the starting point with the marker about 3 inches from the buttonhole of the left cuff. You will want to measure your own cuff for exact placement. It's nice to have your cuff personalized, isn't it?
Is that another sample you have to show us, Philip?
Yes, it is. It's a rolled hem napkin, but today it can be used to cover a basket of bread or used as a table accent with the cross-stitch embroidery and a Maxi-Monogram to personalize it.
The Maxi-Monograms are accessed by the A to Z key. Use the template to place the letters exactly where you want them. Place the template on the fabric and move it around until you're satisfied with the placement. Place a dot at the beginning. It works best to sew one letter before marking the next one. Here's our selection of stabilizers. What type of stabilizer do you want for your monogram, Philip?
Well, Linnette, this time we're going to use a lightweight tearaway. It tears away from the completed embroidery very easily, and you can buy it at your local Pfaff dealer and fabric shop. I'll pin the stabilizer to the back of the fabric and go to the machine to embroider. Press the A to Z key. The Maxi-Monogram is the last alphabet on the right. Press the key below the Maxi letter A. I'm going to use the letter P. Don't forget to press the OK key. Notice that the single pattern key is lit. The Maxi-Monograms can only be sewn as a single pattern and cannot be put into an M memory. Lower the needle manually into the mark on the fabric. Adjust the fabric so that the monogram will be sewn straight. Now you could mark the placement for the next initial. However, I've chosen a Maxi-Design number 206. Move your template about until you're satisfied with the placement. Doesn't it look so professional?
And the professionalism is dependent on the stabilizer. They are so important, and there are many of them on the market now.
There are so many different fabrics and projects which really need various stabilizers to make your embroidery look its best.
Let's begin with the most widely used tearaway type products. Satin stitches that are combinations of wide zigzags used for applique and decorative stitches, if not supported adequately, will do what we call tunneling. They will draw up the fabric, not a pretty picture.
These are exactly the same stitches, thread and fabric. Stabilizers made them beautiful. There are different types, soft ones, crisp ones, and even perforated ones.
Careful with the fiber contents. That perforated one is very heat sensitive and will melt if you steam it. Choose the tearaway stabilizer that is best with your fabric and project. Make a test sample first. Some stabilizers look just like the tearaway ones, but instead are cutaway. These are for fabrics which stretch, like sweaters and knits. They remain underneath the stitches so that later in washing and wearing, the embroidery does not become stretched out of shape and distorted.
This spray-on stabilizer is one of my favorites for heirloom embroidery. You can spray and iron dry. More than one application will make them especially crisp, like typing paper. The advantage here is that you have no paper to pick out of the stitches, and you don't accidentally break a thread of a delicate embroidery. A spray starch can also be used. It isn't as stiff, or this liquid can be painted onto your fabric and it is really firm.
Don't you think this stabilizer looks just like fabric? We've ironed this half so you can see that with heat it turns brown and you just brush it away. That's what was used for an adorable lace collar.
This tearaway product does tear away, but it has an added benefit. When rinsed with water, it dissolves away. You would want to use this with washable items where you don't want any stabilizer left.
And another stabilizer that dissolves in water, this one looks like plastic wrap, except that it's a sheet form of gelatin. To preserve it in storage, we keep it in an airtight container or Ziploc bag. It's the stabilizer that protected this delicate silk for embroidery. We'll go into the fantasy embroidery in the Volume 2 video. Twin needles range in size from 1.6 to 6.0 millimeters. The size is the space between the needles. Here, we used a 2.0 embroidery needle.
Threading twin needles is a little different than threading a single needle.
Thread each spool separately with the thread coming up from the back. It prevents them from tangling together. Take the lower thread and bring it around to the left side of the tension disc, and then through the left guide above the needle. Pull up the extra spool holder and put the second spool on it. Bring the upper thread to the right side of the tension disc and through the right guide above the needle. Manually thread each needle. since the automatic needle threader will go between the two needles now. Let's see how a twin needle scallop looks. Select Program 201 by pressing the 09 key. Enter 201 and press OK. Engage the twin needle key and sew very slowly. See the subtle shading the two colors gave to the stitch? While we're on specialty needles, I want to show you this velvet Victorian cat. These stitches were sewn with metallic thread, like these. Sometimes metallic threads can cause problems and frustrations. We found from testing that if you use a top stitch or a metafill needle, it will eliminate any problems. Top stitch needles have a longer eye and a deeper groove than a standard needle to accommodate a heavier thread and are available in sizes 80 to 110. They are System 130N. Metafill needles are available in size 80 only.
Let's select program number 97. Press 09 key, enter 97, and press OK. Engage the single pattern key. Remember to sew slowly. The gold embroidery on black is really striking. Using only one color thread, but a strong color such as gold or silver can add a touch of the dramatic to any project or outfit. Don't you think everyone should do more embroidery with the creative? It's so much fun to see the fabric change right before your eyes, and the results can be so sensational.
Philip, you're so creative. What do you have in mind?
Well, I'd like to show you this vest with Maxi-Stitches. I designed it for a Pfaff fantasy class lesson.
Oh yes, I do remember it very well. It's so elegant. I love the way the Maxi-Stitches give the feeling of a silk brocade fabric. What special technique did you use to embroider the fabric?
Well, you guessed it. My favorite spray-on stabilizer plus a tearaway stabilizer under the silk. The fabric was cut a little larger than the pattern piece so that after embroidering I had a little leeway with placement. But other than that, I treated the embroidered fabric exactly the same as any other printed or woven fabric. Here I used Maxi-Stitches from Card A.
It really is very striking and elegant. This blouse makes wonderful use of the multi-directional feed stitches. We combined program number 52, a scallop, and directional stitching to form a simple but very effective border design. We'll give you the M memory program. Enter it along with us. Press the MP key. Open an M memory. Press OK. Press the 09 key and enter program 52. Press OK. Now press OK again to enter it once. Press the star key for the directional stitch programs. Remember which way the stitches are oriented to the actual sewing. The foot is here at the left, so the first stitch that points upward is actually going to sew to the right. To make this easy, we'll tell you which stitch to select by the number on its key. So press the number 1 key. Look at the screen. It has the needle orientation icon in front of the stitches, right here. This icon is shown for each directional stitch. We want this stitch in memory, so press the OK key. We switched to the memory and 1 stitch is already entered. But we want 3 stitches, so we need to press OK 2 more times. Press Press the star key for the directional stitches. Press number 6. We want to use the second angle, so we'll press the 0 key to move the cursor and highlight it. Press OK. 1 is entered and we need 9 more. Press the 09 key. Enter 52. Press OK. Press OK to enter once. Press the star key for the directional stitches. Press key number 7. Use the second angle. Press the 0 key to move the cursor and highlight it. Press OK. 1 is entered and we need 9 more. Press the star key. Press key number 2. Press OK. 1 is entered and we need 2 more. We should have 28 stitches in our sequence. Let's check. Press the question mark key. Yes, it shows a total of 28 stitches here at the right. Press escape. Let's sew it out. Press the key below the sewing machine icon. Stabilize your fabric by ironing freezer paper onto the back. Now loosen your needle tension. Be sure to snap on foot number 8 for directional sewing. Now that everything is set, you can sew. See how easy it is? Combining a double row of scallops that can be sewn in one row saves a lot of time. You don't have to carefully match the second row to the first. It's done automatically just by using directional stitches in an M memory. Don't you just love the way using directional stitches changes the look of the original stitch? We have a sample here that has another 8-way feed design. It's a totally different look.
That's very pretty, Linnette. Let's show them another variation of this stitch. The combination of 205 and directional stitches is very simple. Let's go to the machine and enter the M memory sequence. Press the MP key and open an M memory. And press OK. Press the 09 key and enter program 205 and press OK. Now press OK again to enter it once. Press the star key for the directional stitch programs. Remember to check which way the stitches are orientated to the actual sewing. We want to sew in reverse to the middle of the triangle, so press key number 4. Then press the OK key. Remember, 1 is already entered into the memory. Now we need to enter 30 more. We should have a total of 32 stitches, so let's check. Press the question mark. Good. 32 stitches in the sequence. Press the escape key. Let's sew a little for you to show you how it looks. Try this same method with some of the other stitches, such as the Maxi Scallop number 201 and the Maxi Chevron number 207. Be sure to check your stitches for your fabric and you'll have great results.
Goodness, I don't know about you, Philip, but I don't think I can wait any longer to show them our card tricks.
Well, Linnette, they're here.
Just look at the beautiful designs, and Pfaff is always producing more for you.
Each card is a special selection. Check with your local authorized Pfaff dealer for the latest selections. Card A is this great assortment of Maxi-Stitches.
The card is inserted into this slot on the left-hand side of the base plate. The arrow points the correct direction for insertion. This row of holes is what you are plugging into the machine. Make certain that you have inserted the card firmly and that no lint or thread is caught in the way. The Maxi-Stitch cards do not require the use of the Fantasy unit, as they rely solely on the multi-directional feeding system of your Pfaff. Press the card key and use the cursor keys to scroll through the designs to make your selection. Each card comes with a booklet with illustrations of each stitch pattern. Let's choose this icon with the number 7 or 8 key. You want only one pattern repeat, so press single pattern key. Then let's say you want to make a medallion, so press the needle down key. Use your number 8 foot. Sew one pattern. Pivot 90 degrees. Sew another pattern. Pivot again and continue until you have completed the square. This is a lovely design to use in the corner of a napkin, scarf, table runner, you name it. Another advantage you have with Maxi-Stitches is that you can sew them continuously to form impressive borders for garments, as well as home decorating and crafts. And we have another major card trick for you. The Creative card is a programmable and erasable card which you can use for extra storage space for your designs. The Creative card will hold 32 pattern sequences from your M memories and or P memory, Maxi-Stitches, and up to 56 embroidery patterns.
Having a Creative card ensures that your personal designs can be saved permanently, and the M and P memories of your machine can be deleted to make room for more designs.
A number must be assigned to each new Creative card. They are inserted the same as all cards, firmly. Press the card key. When they are brand new, your screen will show card number 1000 plus. Enter a figure with the white number keys. For example, 1 and OK. The display will read 1001 and OK. Press OK and the number is stored. The display changes to show card 1001. The card is empty. Press clear to change the card number. If you wish to change the number, press the clear key and enter a new number. You can go up to 999. If your screens are different, just follow the prompts. Now, let's save an M memory or pattern sequence. For example, you would like to store your design sequence, Creative with Flowers. The steps are, press the MP key. Press 2 for M memories. Highlight the desired memory and press OK. A screen appears for you to sew the pattern combination. Press key 8 under the card icon. Here are the M memories on your card. Select the desired M memory and confirm with OK. Now the stitch is ready to be sewn. The Creative cards are also erasable and reprogrammable so that you can use them over and over again. That's nice, isn't it? Now, let's delete our pattern. Press the card key. Our card has only the M memories. Select by highlighting. Do you see the clear icon over the 0 key? Press 0. The screen says, the M memory will be cleared, OK? You have two choices, either OK to delete or Escape to abort. this card has many designs stored on it. Insert it firmly. Press card. A menu is displayed. As you store designs to a creative card, it will automatically create a menu for you. On this card, number 1 indicates we have stored hoop embroidery designs from the computer software program. We'll explain more about these in Volume 2. Press 2, and here we have Maxi-Designs. Escape to the main menu. Press 3. These normal 9mm designs are from either your Creative Designer or your PC Designer computer software. Press Escape. And 4 brings us to the M memories on the card. Again, in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you have the clear icon over the 0 key. Press 0 to delete. The message gives you notice that OK will clear or delete the selected memory. You also have the choice of selecting Escape to abort the deletion. Speaking of memories, your 7570 has another programmable memory that you will enjoy and find indispensable for piecing quilts. Programmable seam length.
Quilting is so popular today. Don't you just love the vast array of quilts today? Everything from traditional quilting to wearable art quilting is here for us to enjoy. For designs which require many seams of the same length, you can easily program your 7570 to do the work for you. The machine will sew a tack at the seam start, sew the exact length, tack the end, and stop automatically. Simply switch on the machine. Your straight stitch will automatically be highlighted. Press either key number 1 or OK. The length options are shown across the bottom with needle position options. In the upper right-hand corner is the icon Pat. Press the upper cursor key. The additional message PROG will appear beneath Pat. Now place your fabric underneath the presser foot and sew. Your machine will first tack and then continue sewing. At your desired length, press the reverse key. The machine will tack and stop. Do you see that Auto has replaced PROG on your screen? That is all there is to it. Now you can sew this length as many times as you like.
Ah, but what if?
What if you just want to sew a regular seam, like to join a part or two together? Pfaff knew you were going to want to switch back and forth, and you can do that by just simply pressing the upper cursor key. See? Auto disappears and you can sew any length you please. When you want the same programmed seam length again, press the upper cursor key again and the Auto reappears.
Now, isn't that a time saver? If you select another stitch other than the straight stitch or turn the machine off, the programmed length is erased.
You know, Linnette, we've done quite a bit of sewing, and I know our machines could use a little oiling and cleaning. To clean the machine, you can use the brush that came with it or a soft paint brush like this one. I use both types.
With the machine off, open the cover and drop the feed dogs. This makes it a little easier to take off the needle plate. Now, tilt the needle plate up at the back and remove it. Clean the feed dogs. Make sure you remove the lint between the teeth. Now, remove the bobbin case. And with a soft brush, clean all the parts in the sewing hook area. Be especially careful to gently brush the lint from the thread sensor monitor. You should take a look inside your bobbin case. Lint can gather there too. Now you can oil the hook raceway. Place just a drop here. You should oil your machine about every 10 hours of sewing. Use a vacuum attachment for sewing machine and computer equipment to clean the lint out of this little slot above the needle. This is your thread sensor. It lets you know if the thread supply is finished or broken. To finish up, replace the needle plate by placing the back down first. Then press it down until you hear the retaining clip snap into place. Remember to raise the feed dogs. That's all there is to it. Our time is just about up for this volume. We know you've learned to use your creative 7570, and we hope you're inspired to experiment with all the possibilities that the machine has to offer.
We both had fun showing all the techniques in this video. We'll have more advanced techniques to show you in Volume 2 for your creative 7570.
We hope you'll join us.